Trump is on a mission to embarrass us in front of every country in the world.
Donald Trump just got called out to his face by South African President Cyril Ramaphosa in the Oval Office.
President Cyril Ramaphosa of South Africa, take a bow. You are Black excellence.
The president stepped on the wrong toes.
And you know who was staring daggers through him? According to the Irish Times, but you can see it from this photo. Our old friend and nemesis, Elon Musk. Yes, Elon Musk, who's also from South Africa.
This is the work of Elon Musk and trying to protect these rich colonial farmers and move them to the United States on our dime.
Donald Trump seems to be on a mission to have ever increasingly embarrassing meetings in the Oval Office. Most recently, he hosted the president of South Africa.
I've never seen so much disrespect coming from the president of the United States in my life. It's almost as if something about South Africa brings the worst out of him.
It seems like the orange man can't help but embarrass himself, especially when the president or leader of another nation comes to visit him.
You are not going to believe this, but the 1,000 burial sites of those white South African farmers that are marked by the white crosses that
he had a meeting today with the South African president and launched into a tirade about how there is quote unquote white happening in South Africa. And to be clear, there is not white going on in South Africa. No human rights groups say that there is. The government doesn't say that there is. No news outlets say that it is. This is the work of Elon Musk and trying to protect these rich colonial farmers and move them to the United States on our dime. All while he is telling other people who are trying to come to this country and claim refugee status to not come here. So if you're keeping score at home, brown people who claim refugee status are not welcome in the United States, and white South African farmers who are not facing any sort of need for a refugee status are being granted entry. Like, if these guys don't want to be called racist, they really need to stop doing racist shit like this. It is so obvious to anyone paying attention that they are clearly letting these people come in because they're white, and they're keeping the other people out because they are black and brown.
Yesterday, there was a meeting that happened in the White House. In that meeting, President of the US, Donald Trump, invited his fellow president, President Cyril Ramaphosa of South Africa, who came with other delegates, including white Afrikaners who are the member of his administration. They came to the US on the invitation of Donald Trump. In that meeting, President Trump kept insisting talking about the claims of the white genocide that is said to be happening in South Africa. The president of South Africa was calmly explaining about the real situation of what's happening in South Africa. Among other people who attended that meeting include Elon Musk, who is originally from South Africa. And that meeting that happened yesterday got many Americans talking, and that's why today I've decided to make a video reacting to many Americans giving their own opinions about what happened yesterday in the Oval Office. I've put together a bunch of clips of Americans expressing their opinions about what was said in the meeting that happened yesterday. I want us to react to it, and as we are reacting, remember that the full credits belongs to the original creators of these clips. Let's get into it.
Donald Trump seems to be on a mission to have ever increasingly embarrassing meetings in the Oval Office. Most recently, he hosted the president of South Africa, who he looked in the face and told, "Your country has a white side." And the president was like, "Well, respectfully, no, that's not happening." And Donald Trump's like, "Yes, it is." And then he pulled out evidence, only that evidence has all been debunked. Like, he showed a video of all of these little white crosses along a roadway. And Donald Trump said, These are burial sites right here." And then he said, "Each one of these white things you see is a cross. There's approximately 1,000 of them. They're all white farmers, the family of white farmers. Those people are all..." Trump added, so first of all, apparently people are just buried on top of each other along a roadway, by his logic. No, those are not burial sites, nor do they represent dead farmers, and you don't have to take my word for it. You can take the word of the man who put up those crosses. There were 2 farmers who were and as part of a protest to that, they went along this roadway and put white crosses up that were then removed after the protest. They didn't represent individual people. It was just about these 2 people. Then Donald Trump showed a video where a person in a red beret repeatedly chants, "Kill the Boer, kill the farmer," and speaks about taking land without compensation. That person is Julius Malema, who founded the small but radical party Economic Freedom Fighters after being expelled from the African National Congress, of which the president is a member. And after playing that video, the president explained to Donald Trump that does not represent the policies of this government. South Africa's opposition agriculture minister also said many parties had worked to keep extremists out of government. That guy and his group are extremists. They are not in power. And then Donald Trump pulled out a photo and he's like, these are dead white people who were killed in the genocide. The picture he's showing is from the Congo, because Africa is a continent that has many countries within it. It wasn't in South Africa that happened. It was in the Congo. And in response, the president of South Africa, who had to sit there and be berated by a man who confidently declared things that were categorically false and used evidence that was inaccurate and not true, his only response he could really say was, "I'm sorry I don't have a plane to give you." Because apparently this administration, if you do something like gift them a plane, they forgive all kinds of terrible things. But today, my feed is full of conservative creators who all made the same video where they look at the camera and have music playing and they nod as text on the screen reads, "Donald Trump confronting the president of South Africa about the white genocide is exactly what I voted for." Is it? You voted for theatrics based on conspiracy theories that are false, using fake information? That's what you voted for? Meanwhile, while you're celebrating this big W, more than 7 million could lose Medicaid in House mega bill approved Thursday. Yeah, they're going to take away Medicaid for a ton of people, not to mention all the food assistance programs that are being shut down that will affect children, will affect veterans, will affect seniors. And you're too busy looking over here as they snap their fingers and go, "White genocide, look what's happening in South Africa, we got to help." And you're like, "Oh, that's terrible," as they literally rob basic shit from you, as they use your tax dollars to import white immigrants and simultaneously use your tax dollars to deport brown immigrants. And I'm all for people who need protection being allowed to come here and seek protection. But meanwhile, he's revoked the protection, the asylum status of thousands of Venezuelans, for example, who face actual real threats, while giving it to people who aren't facing the threats that he's made up. That's this administration.
The president stepped on the wrong toes in the Oval Office because, the truth always sets you free. Now, the president had a video shown of 1,000 white crosses with cars in between them in South Africa, saying these were 1,000 white farmers and their families that had been murdered in a genocide in South Africa. Well, the South African president, remembers, in the room. So the truth was in the room. His representatives were there with him. And he told the president of the United States that he needed to listen is the only way he was going to be convinced, because the white that Donald Trump used to get those people in from South Africa, the Afrikaners, into America, which are down in Alabama, I hear, it was all based on the prefaces of white genocide. Well, he was told with no terms today from the South African government that it wasn't true, and he would have to listen to real facts. But we do know how that works out for the current president.
If you're a world leader and you want some street cred, all you got to do is go visit the White House.
Now, the two leaders are meeting today to discuss the claims that Donald Trump has made about South Africa, specifically what's happening to certain farmers there. At one point, Donald Trump was asked, what would it take to convince you that these stories aren't true? And before Trump could respond, Ramaphosa jumped in and said this.
It will take President Trump listening to the voices of South Africans.
Yeah, it will take Donald Trump listening. And that was the theme of this entire meeting. Donald Trump has been constantly trying to insist that these things are happening in South Africa. He has accused the president of being behind this. Sometimes he doesn't, and each time the South African president pushes back and he says, look, we need to have a dialogue. We need to have a talk. At one point, he invoked Nelson Mandela. He has been very calm about it, but taking subtle jabs like this, and I say that's well done.
It seems like the orange man can't help but embarrass himself, especially when the president or leader of another nation comes to visit him. Today, the president of South Africa showed up, and you know that our boy, Dementia Don, had to explain to him what was going on in his country. At one point, he was holding up news articles talking about this G-side that is taking place, this G-side that many South Africans have said multiple times is not happening. He even showed him this footage of a supposed mile-long line of crosses that were supposedly graves. It was so ridiculous. The African president looked at him and said, "Hey, where is this located? Like, tell me where this is located in my country, because I know that you have no idea what the hell you're talking about." I'll tell you what, you guys might have been right about one thing. He is without a doubt leading through strength. He is bringing peace around the world. He is ending conflicts, because everybody realizes that no matter how much they may dislike each other, they all definitely hate him.
And you know who was staring daggers through him? According to the Irish Times, but you can see it from this photo. Our old friend and nemesis, Elon Musk. Yes, Elon Musk, who's also from South Africa and is also trying to float the false idea that white South Africans are being discriminated against and must, escape murder to the United States. Elon Musk, who said he was no longer going to donate to political campaigns, that's because his companies are tanking. He's back in the White House, though. This guy can't help himself, so I can't help myself but to remind you, remember, do not buy Tesla. Do not buy or pay attention or help or fund or anything that has to do with Elon Musk. That includes Starlink. That includes SpaceX. Because Tesla is going to die. Tesla is going to literally become just like the pillow company. And as I predicted months ago, and you can watch my old videos, Elon Musk is the new My Pillow guy. Keep the pressure up. This man's fortune is going to be obliterated just because he wants to, imagine being the richest man in the world, but he just wants to exert pain on everyone and stand by Donald Trump. And it's going to be to his detriment. He is going to be ruined, financially ruined.
Have you seen the showdown that happened between President Ramaphosa and President Trump at the White House about this whole white genocide situation happening in South Africa? President Ramaphosa is so strategic and so smart. He knew that as a black South African, he would not get the ear of the type of president Trump is. So he brought with him in his delegation 3 white South Africans, including his Minister of Agriculture, who were also saying to Trump, this whole story of genocide of white farmers in South Africa is false. Didn't work. Did not work. The Afrikaner white refugees that came to America recently are all famous people. Golfers, there's a billionaire in there. So the theory is that Elon Musk has planted the seed in Trump's ear, along with his other right-wing allies, that there is this genocide of white people going on in South Africa. They also provided him with the absolute proof in this video from this minority political party in South Africa. This political party was spewing a lot of hate rhetoric towards white farmers and were advocating for unaliving them. The gag is, though, that this was a very tiny minority grouping that has absolutely no political power and cannot influence South African policies. So Trump showing that video shows that he really does not understand who is calling the shots in South Africa, because that video totally just discredited his claim of genocide, and he did not even realize that. I give so much credit to President Ramaphosa, he was poised, he was diplomatic, he was articulate, he made sense, perfect representation of strong African leadership. South Africa, you should feel so proud of your president. He came to America and he shone like a diamond in comparison to his American counterpart. Let me know what you think of President Ramaphosa's visit. Did he do a fantastic job representing not only South Africa, but Africans and African leaders on the world stage?
Trump is on a mission to embarrass us in front of every country in the world, except for Russia. He made us look stupid in front of Ukraine. He showed the Middle East how easy it is to buy him. And today, he tried to give a lecture about the history of South Africa to the president of South Africa. And everything he was trying to teach was wrong. It was like President Trump teaches at Bizarro School. Trump showed him a photograph of what he said was a burial site for 1,000 white farmers. The South African president looked at it and said, "That's not in South Africa." Trump tried to tell him there's a genocide going on of white people in your country. He said, "We have crime, but we do not have that, sir." I love when Trump is telling people from other countries about crime in their countries. I wish just one of them would be like, "Let's talk about crime in your country, sir, because you got a lot of guns on the street, you got a lot of criminals here, and you got a lot of people you have incarcerated. That is not good governance."
You are not going to believe this, but the 1,000 burial sites of those white South African farmers that are marked by the white crosses that, according to Donald Trump, are the victims of G-Side, those aren't burial sites. It was a memorial in 2020 for a white South African couple that was murdered. While that's tragic, that's not evidence of G-Side. But nobody actually believes that Donald Trump cares about G-Side or human rights at this point, right? While he's busy bringing receipts and handing out flyers of the supposed victims of G-Side in South Africa, we're ignoring the actual G-Side that's happening in Gaza. We're sending foreign nationals to South Sudan, a country on the brink of civil war. And while he visited 3 Middle Eastern countries known for their repressive regimes last week, he noted that he wouldn't condemn any of them for the way that they're treating their people. Don't forget, his new bestie, the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia, was the one who ordered the schmurdering and cutting up of that Washington Post journalist during Trump's first term. But hey, maybe Donald Trump would have been nicer to the South African president and not accused him of G-Side if he'd actually given Trump an airplane rather than a silly book on South African golf course.
You're saying it's not true that some white farmers have been murdered?
No, it's not true that there is a genocide against white farmers.
Okay, whatever you call it, have white farmers been murdered?
Actually, how many
have violence been committed against white farmers?
How many white farmers? Hold on a second. How many white farmers have been murdered in South Africa?
I don't know. Several. I mean, they asked.
No. How many?
I don't know. Several.
I know why you don't know, because those numbers don't exist broken down by race.
I mean, I know this. I wouldn't trust the South African government to tell me. I know that.
How many black farmers have been murdered in South Africa?
Look. You guys are so triggered over 59 people.
No, I'm not.
After we left 20 million people in the country, I don't know why you're so triggered.
Haven't even brought up the people, the white people that Trump picked out because they were white and told them they could come to the country.
How much racial killing are you going to condone?
There are 19,000 murders in South Africa. 36 were on farms. 7 of the farmers were victims. Okay, this is according to the South African police.
And you think the South African government is a credible source?
The other 29, hold on a second, the 29 victims who were included in the farm killings were farm employees who tend to be black. So the vast majority of people killed on farms in South Africa are black. Where is the concern about them?
The concern is that there are white farmers who have had violence committed against them, and they're being threatened. They're being threatened every single day. There's 59 people, and you're triggered about 59 people, and I don't know why.
I haven't mentioned anything about 59 people. Why are you only concerned about white people?
I'm only concerned about this story because these 59 people asked for status. They're getting status, and now everybody's freaking out about it.
They didn't ask for anything.
There is no evidence that white.
After making unsubstantiated claims about white genocide in South Africa in front of the president of South Africa, Donald Trump snaps and goes off on, I would say, an unhinged rant and confessing to crimes he would like to commit.
Heads chopped off. They died violently. And You know, I mean, we're here to talk about it, and I didn't know we'd get involved here. But I will say this, that if the news wasn't fake, like NBC, which is fake news, totally, one of the worst, ABC, NBC, CBS, horrible. But if they weren't fake news like this jerk that we have here, if we had real reporters, they'd be covering it. But the fake news in this country doesn't talk about that. They don't want to talk about it, but now they have to talk about it. But they won't. This won't even be a subject. They'll have him talking about why did a country give a free, think of this, why did a country give an airplane to the United States Air Force? Okay? The United States, not to me, to the United States Air Force, so they can help us out, because we need an Air Force One until that's Air Force One is being built. 2 of them being built. But Boeing's a little bit late, unfortunately. So why did they give us a plane to the United States Air Force? That's what that idiot talks about after viewing a thing where thousands of people are dead.
I'm sorry, I don't have a plane to give you.
I wish you did. I'd take it. I would take it. If your country offered the United States Air Force a plane, I would take it.
Okay. Wow. But coming back to this issue, which I really would like us to talk about, and talk about it very calmly. We were taught by Nelson Mandela that whenever there are problems, people need to sit down around a table and talk about them.
Well, there are
problems. And this is precisely what we would also like to talk about, including, of course, trade matters, investment matters. So the issues that concern you as the United States.
Those are all recent. And those are all deaths.
Yeah, in many ways, I mean, one should say you are a partner of South Africa, and you are raising concerns, and these are concerns that
I've never seen so much disrespect coming from the President of the United States in my life. It's almost as if something about South Africa brings the worst out of him. Spreading baseless claims about genocide and running around accepting bribes, or basically suggesting that you would accept bribes, is totally un-American, and I don't understand how his supporters can continue to allow this type of behavior to become status quo.
First of all, let's talk about the main claim that Trump made. He said that white farmers are being targeted and unalived in South Africa, and he called it a genocide. But where is the proof? He even showed pictures, and some of those pictures were fake. One of them was from the Democratic Republic of Congo, DRC, not from South Africa. That already tells you that this is not about the truth. It's about pushing a political story. And the story that he's trying to push is this, that white farmers in South Africa are being targeted, are being unalived just because they are white. But President Cyril Ramaphosa made it very clear. Yes, South Africa has crimes, but it's affecting everyone, not just white farmers. Black South Africans are also being robbed, attacked, or even unalived. Yes, crime is a big issue in South Africa, but it's not a genocide. So when Trump tries to make it like only white people are suffering, he's not helping South Africans. He's just creating fear and division. Trump's message wasn't about crime. There is something deeper here, and a lot of people are seeing it. When Trump talks about white farmers, he's not doing it out of love for South Africans. He's doing it to make white Americans scared. He's trying to say, look what's happening to white people over there. This could happen here. It's all about fear. He is trying to win support from people who already believe that white people are being replaced or attacked. That's why this story fits into the far-right narrative that we've seen before. And people are asking, why would he even bring this up in the first place? Especially in front of South African president, who came accompanied by some white Afrikaners who are in his administration. Some folks are saying Trump is trying to protect white colonial power in South Africa. He's not talking about 300 years of apartheid and land theft. He's only focused on what's happening now that power is shared. And let us not forget that Elon Musk was there too in that Oval Office. And we all know that Elon Musk is from South Africa. Some people are saying that Elon Musk might be the one who told Trump all of these stories. Maybe it's true, maybe not. But either way, Trump brought him into a serious political conversation about race and violence in another country. That's dangerous. Elon Musk is not a politician. He is a billionaire businessman. Just because he's from South Africa doesn't mean he speaks for people from there, especially black South Africans who lived through apartheid and are still struggling today. Now people are asking, is Trump trying to help white elites who lost power after apartheid in South Africa? Is this about justice, or is it about helping rich white folks hold on to land they took during colonization? Now, let's talk about the reactions of American people, cause some of them made me smile. A lot of folks are not staying quiet. They are calling it out. Some of them are saying, why Trump is embarrassing us in front of world leaders. Others are saying, we're struggling here in America. Why is he talking about white farmers in South Africa? And honestly, that's a good question. America has its own problems. Racism, poverty, police violence. But Trump is looking outside the country, making false claims and using them to push his agenda. It's like he's trying to distract people from real issues. And the worst part, he's trying to make Americans look foolish on the world stage. You invite a president from Africa and then accuse him of genocide without evidences? That's not diplomacy. That's just disrespect. What can we learn from all of this? I've written down a lesson that you can take from this. Always question the stories powerful people tell you, especially when they use fear and race. Second, don't fall for fake pictures and emotional lies. The third one, if you care about crime or justice, you need to care about all people, not just one group because of their skin color. Trump's meeting with Ramaphosa was not about helping South Africa. It was about using South Africa to push his own political story. But luckily, people are waking up. They are seeing through lies. And to all people who spoke out, who said this is wrong, thank you. I'm talking about those reactors who called it out and tried to explain the reality of what's happening in South Africa. Anyway, that was my take on this whole situation. Let me know what you're thinking in the comments. Do you think Trump really believed this, or is just using it for political gain? Do you think Elon Musk has something to do with it? Don't forget to like, share, and comment, and also subscribe if this video really helped you. I will see you all in the next one. Peace out.